All right. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for still being here. I think this is the last session, and I promise you it will be valuable. It will be valuable because you will meet women that get things done and at top level, and thank you so much. Well, I will, in a minute, invite amazing women to this stage. They're powerful, they're making a difference globally. And my name is Yulia Stark. I flew in from Brussels, and I'm the founder and the president of the European Women Association. Thank you. And these women joined me, and they joined me from Spain, from Romania, from Singapore, from UK, and from Portugal. So we've got some powerful ladies over here. So I'm inviting, first of all, Valerie Levine to the stage. Please, Geraldine Lau as well. And last but not least, Peta, Milan. Wow, we've got so much support. Okay, and I should say, I thought, okay, our ladies would be more supportive, but look at these gentlemen over here. I mean, the leaders of these organizations, they know with whom to collaborate. And so I would say, well done, guys. Thank you for having us here. And we will end up in a very powerful, strong note. All right, before we go into presenting this amazing, you see, look at these colors. I mean, they're beautiful and smart. But before we go there, yeah? Would you like just to sit in the middle? One. We need men, that's for sure. We need men allies, and I'm very grateful that you are. They're already ready. Well, you're the boss, right? So if you say I need a chair, you get a chair. All right, before we dive, yesterday, who was at the dinner? Raise your hand. Okay, well, most of you, not all I see. Shame. All right, I did a short presentation of the First Ladies Initiative. We couldn't play the video, and so let me first start by sharing 1-minute video to visually show you what we are working on a global scale. Thank you so much.
Sound?
With the sound. Voila, now you saw it. Well, again, as you remember that quote that I learned from an Indian elderly wise woman from New Delhi, she told me, Yulia, every time, by the way, all the women, and I'm repeating again, the women in this room, next time you are insecure, please remember you are 50% of the world's population, and the other one you give birth to, all right? So let's start, ladies and gentlemen, with this amazing panel. As I said, these ladies sitting here from different backgrounds, but oh my gosh, they are creating a real impact. They are the investors behind crazy, impactful, social projects around the globe. So I will start first by asking you ladies to introduce yourself, where you're from, more about the company you're working, and then we'll dive deeper into the projects you're working with. So I'll start with, in the middle with Peta.
Hi everyone, I'm Peta Milan. I'm originally Australian, but I live between Portugal and Dubai now, and I'm principal of a family office called Henmil Group Family Office, and we're the only family office in the world that specializes in regenerative investing. And I also sit on the International Advisory Board for the World Sustainable Development Forum, which was founded by the former chairman of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Dr. Rahendra Pachauri. I'm sure you've heard of him. Under his stewardship, he's won the Nobel Peace Prize for the 1.5 degree special report. And also work as part of the All Hands Group, which is a multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder group that specialises in countering radicalisation, violent extremism and mass casualty events. So that's very interesting. As I worked, I saw these interesting intersections between climate impacts and different types of displacements of people, whether it be cultural, physical, social, ecological or economic, and impacts on quality of life and how that led to the conditions that gave rise to polarizations in communities or radicalization. So I'll talk a bit more today about regenerative investing and how that's different to other forms of investing, and give you some examples about what we're actually doing in the world and how it might apply to tourism.
Thank you. Well, I told you they're great. Right, Valerie, you're next, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Valerie Levine. I'm originally Ukrainian, and my country now in the middle of the war. Yes. I'm introducing United Kingdom, where I was living for more than 27 years, and also Dubai. So myself, I'm a lawyer. I'm also studied communication and networking in a polytechnical university, and I'm just finishing last year from the pandemic my dissertation of the PhD in law, international law. So my company, I founded my company. I've got a variety of companies, but my background from the oil and gas business, and naturally I started to develop in my country the green, started to developing company in terms of the green and blue energy sector. So I would like to share my experience, and also I'm an investor in this company, and looking forward to discuss about my experience and also the future of the economy.
Especially the energy sector. I mean,
Energy sector,
last week, I don't know if you saw, once a year in Brussels, there's European Summit on Clean Tech Summit. And so the number one topic, well, was green energy led by women, because that's the only sector where there's not enough women, the lowest percentage. Well, you've got here amazing women saying, well, it can be done differently. So in a second, I'll dive deeper into your company, but first, Geraldine from Singapore.
Hi, everyone. My name is Geraldine. I come from Singapore. I realize everyone is talking about originally from, so I'm originally from Singapore and still in Singapore. I think that's a testament to how global we have all become and how much more interconnected we have all become. The next time, I'll say I am from Southeast Asia, not just Singapore. Yeah. And I'm very happy to be here in Indonesia, Bali, and hope that I can share my experiences. Myself, I spent more than 30 years in the finance industry, running the whole gamut of services, from venture capital to private equity, from investment banking on startups, all the way to IPOs and post-market support over the last 30 years. Currently, I run my own multi-family office outfit. It's called Berioza Associates. But at the same time, I run my own family money. So what I have is a group of very dedicated and very purposeful investors who come along with me to look at investments. And we are hoping that, as we engage each other, we will be able to build something more sustainable for our future generation. Yeah.
Thank you. Aren't they amazing? And while I was listening to you, I wondered, where did I meet you? So I remember Valerie I met 15 years ago in Ukraine, in Dubai, and in Romania, in the mountains. So these ladies are quite international, and I'm happy Bulut made sure that we are here all in Bali together. All right. Thank you. He's actually a great guy. Thank you, Bulut. Thank you. A special thank you to you to bringing us all here in Indonesia. All right. Let's dive deeper. We had interesting Peta conversations about sustainability. So being in Brussels, this is the buzzwords, everybody's speaking about that, and I was so proud that I understood what that meant. And then I met Peta, and Peta said, well, nah, that's really not that sustainable as you think. There is like next level into that. So tell us more about that future investment approach that you are running, and tell more about the initiatives you do.
Sure. So I just want to start off with letting folks know that for those that don't know about family offices, they're the offices of families who are high net worthers, 5 million or more, or ultra high net worthers, 30 million or more. And globally, family offices control 6 trillion of the world's wealth. Right, that's significant. So there's something really powerful about families, and families who are more interested typically than VCs, in legacy wealth. So they want their wealth for future generations. So they care more about how do we plan for the long term. So when we're talking about impact investing, there are 4 paradigms of investing. There's traditional and conventional investing, which we all know and we've been taught about at university, post-Friedman concepts of, the only role of the organization is to deliver returns to shareholders. So we've seen significant impacts from that mindset and that way of investing. So just to give you some quick statistics, so over the past 20 years, we've seen 8,000 catastrophic climate events that have resulted in 2.97 trillion in economic losses that have affected 4 billion people around the world. And that's getting worse. So last year we saw 382 billion in losses as a result of 2 major climate events. So we can't keep investing that way. So what happened was then there was a shift towards a different way of investing, which we call a rest disorder. That idea is like, how do we do less bad? How do we invest in ways that aren't as detrimental? And we're seeing this in terms of divesting from oil and gas. We're seeing this in terms of ESG funds being formed and these types of things. The next paradigm of investing is what we call do good. And we see the emergence of impact investing. But the challenge with impact investing is we don't really know what the impact is and we don't know how to measure it. And a lot of the impact is based on self-report, so very, very open to greenwashing. And we've seen some banks getting into some really big trouble around greenwashing. And we've also seen folks who are trying to enter the market with impact funds that have not really been as transparent or as impactful as we'd hoped. So what we see as the next generation of investing is what we specialize in, which is called regenerative investing. And that is the concept of understanding that we need to invest in ways that regenerate life. It's not enough to just do less bad, and it's not enough to do a bit of good, but across siloed thinking of like, well, I'm only going to invest in clean tech, or I'm only going to invest in energy. We need to invest in a way that has a systemic impact, that creates systemic health and well-being. So we have to shift our mindset around how we invest. And so what we do is when we're looking at asset classes, we work to understand not just the asset, but where is the asset nested? It sits within an ecosystem in a larger set of locations. It might be a physical location. They might have particular clients that sit within certain segments and so forth. And so we work to understand really what is the system within which we're investing and how can this asset serve to regenerate all of life. And we follow 7 very kind of strict principles on regeneration in order to identify those mechanisms. And so I will talk later, I'll give the other ladies a chance to speak, but I'll talk later about some examples of where we've done regenerative investing and the impacts then on different sectors like tourism.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot my mic. All right. I remember our conversation at the investment meeting in Dubai. And when I first time heard this story, I realized how a unique approach that is, how holistic it is, and how feminine it is, but it's at the same time. So thank you for sharing, and I'm curious more to hear more about the examples. Well, you just started the conversation about going from oil and gas, so I'll jump to Valerie. This is your background, although you are an international lawyer, not practicing at this moment.
No.
But this is where you've been working for many years. You've got experience in this, I would say, traditional energy sector, and then suddenly you shifted, or maybe not suddenly, I would say like, why? Because it's a quite expensive journey has been for you, as I remember. And tell us more about this marine or the blue energy, as you often name it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Yulia. Yes, I used to work in an oil and gas field with our team, which is we created in the United Kingdom for the international lawyer to support first of all, we supported all investors in 3 different countries where we used to have offices, law offices. So very organically, we became investors in oil and gas field in Russia. So it was very successful for the company for the 5 years, which is we straight away go into the IPO, and finally on a top 2008, which is they sold this company very nicely when most of the world was crying. As you know, it was really big wave down. So how I became to invest in and founded my company. I was on a very interesting discussion in London with the oil investors, oil and gas, and one of the very profound professor from Ukraine started to talk about the details and also the future about the blue energy, particularly the blue energy, because we know all about the green energy. The blue energy, it's where we are now in Indonesia. It's all the water, the ocean and the sea and the rivers. So that speech was touched me so much. I started to talk to him, and not telling this story alone, I created the team of expertise from the laboratory, from the idea, and going to the final stage. Because I've done my research for many years, and I understood how it's difficult to find an investor. I was from the both side, from the investor side, because we invest in oil and gas, and also I was from the company, which is I created with a variety of the companies, from education to law to different industries. So I know how difficult to prove what you have, to deliver and prove for the, not just for the government, because when it's the really good product, you need to involve the government. So I decided, I don't know if I can do it, but I decided to try. So with all the project, which is created in Ukraine with the team, very high professional professors in physics, it's a quantum physics. So I decided to a little bit updated my knowledge, and I was studied quantum physics and quantum mechanics for the last 2 years. So I created a team, and we decided to do this technology, which is many people denied it because they said it's too good to be real. That's exactly what Elon Musk said when he saw this technology. He said, I do believe it's possible because it's proved, but I don't know if it's possible to do it. And I was really angry. I said, watch me. I will do this. And we did it, by the way. We've got a prototype. We've got the very good result. And also this technology, I believe, is going to be the future, not just for something coming new in a green. No, this is reality. 1 hour producing 1,250 megawatt hours of the electricity. It's impossible, they said, but it is possible. That's what we're doing, and that's what we try to change in the world to save it, not just the climate, but to save it our lives. We not understand what's going on with the green technology, how we connect it with the waves, with the different stuff, but we do connect it, we do respond it, and we need to calculate this very, very carefully.
Thank you so much. Thank you. When Elon Musk says it's too good to be true, and then Valerie does it with a great team, well, I want to be there at that next meeting where you're going to show him the results.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Han. Thank you.
When the country will be free, yes.
Thank you so much. I'll go deeper in the next round, maybe we've got some numbers on the marine energy and maybe the difference with green energy, because I learned a lot from you when it came to that differences. So it would be maybe valuable to hear for our audience as well. Okay, let's go to Geraldine, another group of family offices. We speak about impact investing today. What kind of trends do you see as a family office? Is it going towards energy like everybody is now? It's a buzz thing, like we need to change something, or there is more diversification in the sector?
Okay, perhaps I would like to just maybe define impact investing a bit. not so much from a diversification point of view, but what are the elements involved. To me, impact investing depends on who you're impacting, the context and the purpose. And for different pots of money, whether you're institutional, family office, you're just a fund manager, I think that means different things to different people. For my group of investors, what we are looking at is a few elements. One is hope. We want to make sure that when we invest, we create hope to the investee. Second thing that we are looking at is the young, the youth. That's our next generation. We want to look at projects that can empower them. Okay, and the third thing I'm looking at is the communities in which the youth are in. Are they going to be disenfranchised in the community, or are they going to be full of hope for the future that they have within the community? I think this will hopefully address a lot of the social issues that we are looking at. Yeah, the next one. Yeah. So actually afterwards I have a video that I like to show. I wanted to introduce to you two projects I'm on, one of which is already done. This was started in 2004. It's at the top of the world. It's in this place called Tashkogan. I think it's like 400 meters above sea level, right at the western end of China in Xinjiang. And in 2004, it was just barren land. And what's so special about the place? It's the town before the border of China that moves on to all the stans, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Pakistan, and I think one more country, I can't remember. So it's kind of like at the fork. So we invested in a hotel there. Okay, what I want to show you in the video is not the hotel, because I'm sorry, it was so long ago I couldn't find the files in time. What I want to show you is the impact 4 years after it was built. So you're going to see what has happened. A group of investors from Singapore, we invested in them. When the hotel was up, we actually created a kind of a community exchange program with Singapore Management University to bring every year 2 groups of students to go do some community work in the area. I want you to look at the faces of the students from Singapore. I mean, you all know Singapore is a well-to-do country. We are all very blessed. And I also want you to look at the faces of the students from Tashkogan.
Well,
Okay.
I would say, like, why wait, Geraldine? Let's play the video, guys. Let's be flexible.
Yeah, okay. Maybe
Play
we
the
can
video
play.
right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want a library full of our stories, a ship to keep our memories afloat. I want to hit rewind, play back 100 times, the moment when our hearts alive.
螃蟹，很好。
La 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 la. Forget the air, I'll breathe you instead. Fill up my lungs, forget success. You be my offbeat. Let's make a rhythm and harmony. Waltz to our 3/4.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry,
Geraldine.
it was actually a 9-minute video, but I had to cut it down.
You have to cut it.
You know.
No,
But,
time
yeah.
is money, right?
Yes. But what I want to point out to you is, I think that what looked like just a hotel investment, I mean, the investment person in me, a financial investment person in me will say, okay, so what's your ROI, to date? I think, we will have a very boring discussion if it just goes down the road. But what's really interesting is that after this, you get all these engagement. People from Singapore engaging with people from up there. And the young from there, they get to see what the rest of the world is like. Because there's a good chance that 99% of them are not going to be able to go beyond that mountain they're on. So I think to me, that is impact investment.
Thank you so much. And it allies so much with what Peta is already doing.
Yes.
So we spoke about the communities. Maybe you can give some examples of similar initiatives.
Yeah, so we invest where a lot of families don't invest. We invest in pre-seed venture. In our family, we have expertise across venture building, life sciences, technology, media, and we're all accredited regenerative practitioners. So we invested in quite a standard tech company called Jet Group, which had an amazing team of really talented people who were interested in impact, but the original business model had been built, so it was just kind of like fit within the standard profile of tech. And so we actually made a decision to reposition that company as part of our investment into it. And so we got everyone retrained as regenerative practitioners. We partnered with one of the leading regenerative organizations in the world, Regenesis, out of the US, and one of their co-founders joined our board. And so now the company specializes in whole large-scale transitions of cities, companies and investor portfolios, and it's technology-backed, using regenerative methodologies. So often when I get approached by folks who have some piece of tech or they want to co-invest, they're like, we invest in climate tech. And I'm like, okay, so I show them what we have in our portfolio companies, and they're like, where's the SaaS solution? You know, which is the software as a service. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, we invest in climate tech, we want to invest in a SaaS solution. I'm like, but a SaaS solution is not going to solve climate change. We need to think about it differently, right? So this is a hybrid model that we created, which was field services and technology. And so we invested in a company that was a small company. Now that company has grown very, very fast over the past 4 years, and they're about to close out their first tranche of their Series A. So we're talking like a growth from zero pre-seed. At the end of the Series A, it'll be worth about 140 million. Over 5 years. That's pretty decent growth, right? And we see a trajectory for their revenues to increase from 2.6 million to 40 million in just 12 months. But the impact and the important piece beyond the financials is that now they're doing work in whole cities. And so I'll give you an example of our co-delivery partner worked on a resort development in Mexico called Playa Viva. It's quite famous, actually. It's been covered in New York Times and Forbes and stuff like this. So it was a group of developers that bought 200 hectares of land in Mexico, and it was right next door to a village of like 500 people. And it was a degraded village, economically not very viable. Young folks were leaving the town and moving to the cities, which is kind of a normal story, and it's happening here in Indonesia, I believe, as well. And so instead of just building a resort, what they decided was that they were going to work with the communities first. And so they saw that the resort wasn't just about a piece of real estate, but it was actually about a whole community, that the village was part of the resort experience. And so they worked with the villagers, and they developed whole new methodologies with the villagers. Now, this wasn't going in and telling them what to do. They brought in the regenerative practitioners to understand the unique essence or story of that place, which was a full integration of social, cultural, ecological, and economic factors. And working with the community from the ground up in this way, people found that they reconnected to what was unique and special about their identity in their place. And what it powerfully unlocked in the people was a sense of purpose and a role that they could have in revitalizing their economy, and in doing so, unlocking their unique creative potential. And huge amounts of innovation was developed, including whole new revenue streams, new industries, all these types of things. Health was transformed because the quality of food production was transformed through the new farming practices and all these types of things. And so when the resort was actually built, they'd actually turned down the government's proposal to build a highway that led folks directly to the resort. They said, no, we want people to travel through the village because this is part of our resort experience. And so what happened was the economy started to thrive again. And one of the best outcomes out of the whole process was that the young folks started to return back to their hometown because they found a renewed sense of purpose and identity and meaning participating in this revitalized economy. Now, financially speaking, in terms of the actual resort itself, it opened at a time that was not a great time to open. It was at the start of the 2008 financial crisis, but they were profitable. And they stayed profitable through COVID. So where other hotels were failing, right? So instead of just thinking about it as a development, jumping in with engineers, master planners, designing some cool stuff, and like saying, here you go, this is what we're gonna do to you, they were like, no, no, no. And what happened was this amazing creation of stewardship. So our investment in this one company, who's now working with even larger cities in the Middle East, city of 700,000 people, an African country has engaged us to deal with a whole country. Another African country is in the process of discussions with us about creating the largest smart city on the planet. But they want to do it regeneratively. And what's really interesting is this work has got the attention of big investors. So we now have co-investment partners who run funds that are $200 billion funds. Net zero funds, right? And they're investing in infrastructure projects. They actually have some investments here in Indonesia already and in the Philippines, different places. But they want to use our investment. They want to co-invest with us in that, and they want to use that investment to facilitate the regeneration of their investments. So you think about the trickle effect, like, you know, the multiplying effect of impact. You're not just like investing in one thing and changing a group of lives there, but you're creating these multiples. And when we're looking at multiples as investors, normally what we've been looking at is multiples of returns that we can extract from that investment for ourselves. Well, the results are there financially, absolutely, but we're talking multiples in other types of value creation as well. And that for us is really what regeneration is all about, right? So that's just one example of how we've invested in that regenerative way.
Thank you so much. And I think that's probably the future of the next generation impact investing.
Well, I believe so. I'm putting all my cards on that table.
You are. You're doing a great job. And I think Valerie will support you in that vision, because while we were listening to the projects from the free zones yesterday, we were quite inspired and at the same time triggered. It's like, all right, we are here in such a beautiful country, surrounded by water, but the green energy is based mainly on solar panels.
Solar and wind.
Like this does not really make sense. And then we had this intense conversation with Valerie, who learned me a lot about the differences and why some countries should explore blue energy. Maybe you can share more about that.
Yes, thank you, Yulia. Yes, I think it's a big differences because we got natural resources, we always said. So what is this natural resources? What we're using for the green technology is the solar, sun, wind, and water. Also, many companies started to use the air also to recreate electricity from the air, which just makes sense, but it takes such a long time and it's cost really, really big money. Practically, we're using solar, we're using wind, and also we just started, few companies in the world started to use it, the water, meaning marine energy. One of them is the biggest company probably in this area, is the English-Swedish company, Minesco. Probably the guys know that. They've been just a few years ago settled down in a different country. I'm sorry, I cannot tell because this is not my company. So they're producing, the whole company producing 500 megawatt hours from the whole company, not in a 1 hour. The whole company producing. For example, our technology introducing one cell, we've got 100 cells, we can put it so many cells on a water, and one cell introducing 600 megawatt each cell, meaning per hour. We can cover the half of the city only with the few cells, not with the whole
like
company.
Bali Island or like New York? Give an example.
Right. For example, I can give it to you the example from our calculation. If we've got the waves 7 meters, which is we heard yesterday from the presentation on a Bali, we can introduce 1,250 50 megawatts per hour. That means New York City needs exactly the same number for 1 hour to use. Rest, you can calculate it. So at the moment, this technology could be using around the world, and also it's ecologically absolutely green because we're using our own material. We've got the green cement. What does it mean? The green cement needs to be penetrated into the water, and we've got the flora and fauna. So we are not killing anyone, fish. I mean, it's absolutely proved. Green technology going into the ocean now more than out, because we've got a big disaster. If you know the climate changing, it's connected with the ocean because it's the part of our nature, and it's the biggest part. Next, we're introducing in this technology storages. It's a limitless storages. Most of storages for the energy got specific number, what kind of number of their kilowatt hours you can keep it. We've got limitless. And also it's ecologically proved. We've got our engine, our own engine, which is we designed and created for this technology. It's a magnetic engine. We've been designed this in Ukraine, but working together with the German team. What else I can say to you? I think it's the best technology at the moment because we can introduce in the biggest mega hours for any countries located have got the access to the sea or ocean.
Well, you are a pioneer. I think there's not one company creating what you are creating right now. So first of all, I'm so proud to be part of that journey and you leading that company, because that means a lot for many other women out there thinking like, well, I'm not an engineer. Well, you can be a lawyer and be a pioneer in the energy sector. So that can work as well. So thank you so much, Valerie, for your input, inspiration for other women out there and men as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, it deserves an applause. Thank you, thank you. I'm thanking you, Peta, because you inspired me as an investment banker that actually went to a very classical approach. After spending some time with you in Dubai and here in Bali, I see the whole ecosystem collaborating. And I do believe that that's for sure a great place to be in Indonesia to introduce that approach, regenerative approach, and not just a sustainable one. So thank you so much. And Geraldine, thank you so much for building these bridges, thinking beyond and giving the opportunities to the next generation to be part of that impact investing. You're doing a great job. And I'm very proud, ladies, to have you in the European Women Association as ambassadors, as members. You are truly, truly inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you.